All right. Welcome to the Business of Allied Health podcast. I have Paul Ness, a very special guest. So he is currently the Senior Director of Medical Services and Senior Physio at the ATP Tour. He's been doing that for the last 23 years. You might have seen him on TV a few times, watching the Australian Open. Welcome, Paul. Thanks for joining us. So today I was just wanted to pick your brains for those in private practice or more junior. That one, or even someone more senior, that won a career with elite athletes like yourself in a sport like tennis. And the first question I had was like, how did you get there in the first place? What was your story from the start of physio, if you can still remember?
Yes. And for me, it was one of those right place, right time moments. I was doing my master's in sports physio. It was called a postgraduate diploma when I went through. That's how long ago it was. And we had to do some time with a national level team, and I was a Carlton supporter. So I rang the Carlton physio and asked if I could go down for a season and help out at trainings and some games. And I must have done an okay job, because at the end of the season, he gave me a call and said there was a job going at the Australian Open with Tennis Australia, just for the 3 weeks of the Open, the qualifying weekend, the 2 weeks of main draw. I didn't actually know that he was a tennis physio before that. So I went and interviewed and got the job and worked as a local while I had my own private practice. So it was great timing for me. January is a fairly quiet time in practices often. So I would disappear and do my 3 weeks at the tennis, and got a bit of experience, got to know everyone on tour. And then one of the guys on tour became a manager, and he asked me if I wanted to do some weeks on tour as a contractor. So started as a contractor, and then after a number of years was right time, right place. Felt like it was a good opportunity to go full time when a position came up, and I've been doing it ever since. As you said, it's been a long journey, but a really good journey too. It's very enjoyable. I started when we only had 6 physios looking after just the tour events. Now we have a group of over 30 physios, and we look after the tour events plus another 80 challenger events. Physios from around the world, different experiences, sharing ideas, learning all the time, being put under the microscope as well, keeps you sharp. You have to keep thinking, you can't go stale. So yeah, it's good fun, good career, and still enjoying it.
Fantastic. So just on that note, put under the microscope, is that an audit they did, or was there a complaint, or how?
No, put under the microscope. Players question what you're doing. They need to get better today or tomorrow, because they're playing today or tomorrow. So your skills have been put under the microscope. That's probably the best way of explaining it. And you have to be able to back up what you say with your hands and make positive differences to them really quickly.
I see. So you work with some of the top athletes in the world, like previously Roger Federer, and Novak Djokovic.
Yeah,
I think Novak quite a peculiar, and
they all have their nuances, and without exception, they all want to play at their best today or tomorrow. So it's not just Novak. Everyone puts pressure on. They are looking for help. So there's a reason that they're seeing you, and they want the best they can get within a short space of time.
And how do you build that trust quickly with these type of guys that often have their entourage with their own physios in their own nations and etc.?
I think for me, it's much easier because I've been around for a long time. So when you see the new wave coming through, Sinner and Alcaraz, it's very easy to say that I looked after Roger and Rafa and Novak. So that gives you credibility straight away. For someone who's entering into a system like that, I think the real importance is to project a calm confidence and assurance. And that's saying you shouldn't be over the top. I think athletes can see through a show very quickly. But if you listen very carefully to them and show that you're understanding exactly what they need, and then the way you talk helps them feel comfortable, then that's probably one of the keys. Also, when you listen to them, if you're listening really closely, you'll work out what they think they need. And quite often they actually know very well what they need. They know their bodies really well. And if nothing else, you can start with what they think they need, and then you can adjust into something more that you feel that they need as well. So I think it's that open conversation, but being calm, being present, and also not being overawed. They are just people in the end, and they're relying on your professionalism and your knowledge so that they can get better. They don't know as much as you do, so they need your help. So yeah, there's a few different things to tease out there.
Interesting. And do you have the same sort of challenges in private practice as dealing with these characters, given that they're humans, or is it different in the circuit where it's more like an institution system?
Yeah, I think one thing that I've always tried to do is when I was working in a practice or in a clinic or in a event or with a team, I try and treat everyone exactly the same. There is no reason that you shouldn't treat a 75-year-old female with a sore shoulder any differently from a professional tennis player who's relying on their results for their income. They still want the best out of you, and it's upon you to give your best for that person. So I try and bring it back to you do the best job you can every single time. So practice or event, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter. Yep, you got to be on your best every time.
Yeah, I think so.
Nice. And from your experience in tennis now, with that many years, what makes an injury prevention program work for an athlete like at that level?
It's a really interesting question around those injury prevention programs. There's so much debate about whether they do actually work or not. And certainly the evidence is not totally clear. And I think this is possibly to do with how varied athletic bodies are. So a one-size-fits-all doesn't necessarily work really well. Saying that, I think you can make an injury prevention program for an athlete very effective. First of all, you need to understand what their requirements are, what is really involved in their sport. And the other thing you need to know is what type of body does the athlete have? And from that, you try and work out the deficiencies they might have with their body to be able to achieve what they need in their sport. And you try and cover up those deficiencies as best you can. And sometimes it takes a bit of time to get to know an athlete's body, but you have to take that time to really know how that body responds and what they might need down the track. So you have to be happy to be adaptable. That's a really important thing. Just as an example for that, one thing I was thinking about was in our group of tennis players, we have a significant number that have suprascapular nerve palsy. So they have no infraspinatus. So their resisted external rotation is weaker than the 75-year-old lady with the sore shoulder. They absolutely have zero ER power. So there's no point in working on ER. Let's look at things to cover that up. Other structures that might help. Bulk up the posterior deltoid, get it doing as much of the deceleration from serving as it can possibly do, and play around with your program and see how you can help those athletes. Just on that specific example, I do have one guy that I was looking after and he has no, but if you did the old surface anatomy of his posterior deltoid, now he's been playing for a long time, he's in his 30s. I reckon the posterior deltoid has grown along the spine of scapula much further than most posterior deltoids are. So things can change and athletic bodies adapt amazingly well.
Very interesting point there. So there's a lot of buzz private practice around valved force plates and strength testing. How important is that with athletes? Is that true? Is that not? Is that nuanced?
I think it's still in its early stages, and certainly some sports are more advanced than other sports. I would say tennis is behind, our athletes are all individual contractors, so we don't really have control over them for most of the season. We provide what you would call an emergency medicine service. So we're at a tournament. We see them from the day they get there till the day they lose and they leave. And our job is to do something to that body to try and give it best function. And most of that is hands-on stuff. We might recognize that they need a particular strength assessment. We don't carry around massive amounts of equipment just because it's too hard to travel from country to country with too much equipment. So we don't do much of that yet. We're certainly starting to look at that side of things, but we're not there yet. Other sports do use a lot more in the way of force platforms and better dynamometry and that sort of thing. And I think over the next 10 years, there'll be some really good evidence that comes out for specific strength requirements for different sports.
Interesting. And what would you say private practice teaches you that elite sport doesn't, Paul?
There's a few different things there. I think time management is a big thing in private practice. You have to see patients every 20 minutes, half hour, whatever it is in your practice. And that means, well, one, you're going to see a lot of patients. So that's really good. You get a very good broad range of clients, and you don't get that in an elite sport. For example, I have not rehabbed an ACL in 30 years.
Interesting.
So yeah, so it's just something we don't see. So your clinic is going to give you a much broader range of experience. But also with respect to that time management, you learn how much you can give to a patient in a short space of time to get the maximum gain. And by that, I mean, if you have a shoulder injury and to get the most out of it in a session, it might take 45 minutes. You work out in the practice, if you've only got half an hour, that you can actually get 80% of the gain in that 30 minutes, minus the assessment time. And you can't go that extra 15, 20 minutes to get the extra 20%. But it's not necessary all the time. And some of that 20% might actually come as they're doing their exercises or resting and recovering from your treatment. So I think time management is really good like that. Working in a practice teaches you how long it takes for real people to heal. And that gives you a good baseline for what you should expect in an athletic population. Saying that, athletes have amazing bodies and they generally heal quicker than people in your clinic, but that just reminds you each time you see someone improve more than you think they should that this is pretty cool to work with these athletes. But to have that background knowledge, it normally takes this number of weeks to get over this type of injury. That's a really good thing that private practice teaches you. I think the one other thing I'd like to touch on is cost of treatment. And by that, I mean, if you're working in a clinic, even if you're not the owner, you get to understand what it costs to see you as a practitioner, what it costs to run the practice. And that can give you a better understanding of what you're actually worth. And that's really important when it comes to sport, because too many people undervalue their service for sport. It was not that long ago that I spoke to a guy who was lead physio for one of the league teams. And I said, how did the interview process go? And so blah, blah, blah. And he said, oh, they asked me how much I should earn. And I told them, I think it was like $1,000. And they said, full time. Yeah. I thought, you can't do that. $60,000 for a full-time physio at that elite level just doesn't make sense. That's way undervaluing yourself. So working in a practice, working out how much you're worth is really important in our profession so that we do value our service.
So do you have any tips on valuing your service, Paul? Because it's been an interesting chat. So you think physios are undervaluing their services, particularly in the elite environment.
Yes.
Talking to an A-League physio that was $60,000.
Yes.
Full
Yeah.
time.
Full time.
A-League. Holy.
Yeah. And that's a job that I would expect to be worth well over that, well north of $100,000 for someone who's going to be full time. So yeah, I think working in a practice helps you to value yourself and know what you should be getting and don't undersell yourself.
And so is that the same issue in tennis as well, or is it different?
I think all sports are different.
Yep.
And I get paid reasonably well. I wouldn't be doing the job still after this many years if I wasn't getting paid okay. I think AFL get paid quite well. I think the Physio Association and the Sports Physio Australia are really doing a good job in helping people learn what they should be worth. And some sports are towing the line pretty well, but it's certainly not across the board yet.
I see. And what tips do you have to value how much you should be paid in that, or
Well,
not, or is that really a
a-
negotiable thing?
yeah, that's a tricky thing. I think you, for example, if you think that you're earning $100,000 in a practice and you want to earn similar for a sports team, but you know that the experience that you're gaining because you're doing travel that you want to do, or you just love the sport, or you might discount yourself to $80,000. So there's some personal things in there as well, but you still want to make sure that you're getting enough to survive and that you have a certain goal and plan in place.
I see. And
Talk to your fellow physios. I mean, there's plenty of sports physios out there with good sports jobs. They'll be happy to talk about what they do, how many hours they do, what they earn as a guideline.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one, because some people don't even get paid, to be frank.
Yeah.
There's still, I'm seeing jobs that offer physios volunteer position at elite level. And you're like, whoa. So you have to do all of that study and all that to work.
For that sort of thing, you've got to be careful too, because the insurance can be a little bit grey if you're not actually getting paid, you're not employed, so to speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, need to be careful and make sure that you get what you deserve.
Interesting. So final question, what should physios know before pursuing elite sport like tennis that we haven't heard before on social media or anyone, to be frank, from Paul Ness?
I guess number one is it's not 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
Okay.
That's a really big thing. For example, my last trip, I did Nottingham Challenger and Wimbledon, where we're playing on grass. There's no night sessions. I did 23 days in a row, and I averaged, I think, 11 and a half hours a day. So that's with no night sessions. So it's not a standard job, and you have to expect some of that, but you also have to balance your life and work out how that fits into your greater expectations. For me, I'm happy to do that because I know now I've got 4 weeks where I'm doing some admin from home. I'm doing some recovery stuff. I'm back in the gym and doing some exercise. I'm eating better, and I'll get ready for my next trip to the US.
That's pretty intense to me.
Yes. Yes.
And you're still doing it after this long. So there must be something that keeps you going and keeps you interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've also got to be prepared to feel out of your depth often and under immediate pressure to perform, usually to perform a miracle. So that's not everyone's cup of tea. I know that I've had some times where I've been on court where fortunately I am able to focus in on the player and what I'm doing, and I'm not worrying about the TV camera that's sitting next to me and potentially projecting to millions and millions of people. So yeah, you've got to be able to deal well with that stress or pressure. Another thing that I'm sure a lot of people have heard about is it's not glamorous. we work in the dungeons. Often the treatment rooms have no natural light. We're pretty good in tennis now of having high-low tables, but we weren't for a long time. As I said about the hours, they can be rough. Tournament food is not necessarily as good as it could be. It's not your normal diet at home. But at the same time, there are some benefits. We stay at good hotels and that sort of stuff. But also, traveling can be tough, and it is draining. From Australia, you have to do long-haul flights. Many sports are still economy the whole way. We're economy most of the time. We're just getting budget to do some premium economy flights. But to travel, get there one night, have to work the next day, that's not glamorous, and it is tiring. So that's not for everyone either.
Doesn't sound glamorous at all to me. Oh, no.
But there's the other side of things too. Like I said, with my group, I've got a group of 30 people. I enjoy working with every single one of them. Professionally, it's challenging. We still go to some good places. It's pretty cool to go to Wimbledon and be part of the show. And so, yeah, and there's positives and negatives for many jobs.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, Paul. That was really generous of you to share all that. It's a very balanced view you gave.
I've been around long enough to have looked at the pros and cons of work and enjoy doing a really good job.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for that really grounded insight. It wasn't
a pleasure.
It wasn't one way or the other at all. Thanks, mate.
My pleasure. And if anyone of your viewers wants to have a chat,
how would they reach out to you generally if they want to try this?
LinkedIn is probably one of the easiest things to do. I'm on LinkedIn. Send me a note through there.
Is it highly competitive to be one of the 30, or do they need certain
I think sports jobs are highly competitive in general. There is a little bit of right time, right place. You have to be good. You can't have just average handling skills. Yeah, it's still worthwhile honing your skills.
Yeah, the manual.
One thing I will also say is you never stop learning.
Yeah.
That is one thing with this job. You're never good enough. You can always get better. You can be very good, but you can always get better.
And do you need to be a titled physio to consider applying, in your opinion? Or, I mean...
For the ATP Tour, we do not have... Well, titling isn't valid around the rest of the world. It's only Australia.
Yeah.
Our 3 physios from Australia are all titled. But if someone was to be working a tournament as a local physio and they showed really good skills and felt like they were a good person for a team, then we would consider them.
Oh, awesome. That's not a mandatory requirement at all.
No.
I think some of the other sports teams in Australia, they are. In some.
Yeah. I think most of the Olympic sports, being a sports physio is required.
Thanks, Paul. I will. Thanks for your time, and reach out to Paul if you're interested in working on the tour.
Thank you.
Thanks.